Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Craft and Release podcast.
This is a space that celebrates storytelling.
Yes.
And across this first season, you're going to hear stories on love, on body, on friendship,
on revenge and redemption.
And you'll get to hear from us too.
Yes, exactly. We'll be teeing up every single chapter, every single release with an episode from both Glynn and I.
We're happy to have you here.
We're so happy to have you here and can't wait to get into all of the good releases here at the Craft and Release podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Craft and Release podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nneka Julia.
I'm Glynn.
And we are bringing live these stories that we've been collecting over the last year. We've been doing live shows with Craft and Release per a given theme. And today, we're going to touch on our first theme for Craft and Release, which is body.
This was exciting for us.
Very exciting.
Our very first theme that we selected, I think the body felt so charged and layered and like it had a lot of potential. And it was something that I think we're all hyper-focused on all the time.
100%.
But I haven't heard people really get to tell a story about their relationship to their body.
Exactly. I mean, truly, when you brought up, Glynn was the one who brought up the theme first and foremost. And I think the minute you said it, both of us were like, ooh, that is such a, one, we all have one, right? Like as humans, but like you just said, the relationship that we have is varied. It varies culturally. It varies genetically, obviously. It's one of those things where you don't intimately know somebody's relationship with their body until you ask them a question about it. Right?
There's lots of assumptions that can be made.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. So I think even after the fourth release, which we just wrapped, the diversity of story around body is still one that I think we will never forget.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Of the diversity of story around this theme, because we just didn't know what we were going to get when we put this out there.
And I mean, we got some stories.
We got some stories.
I don't even really want to spoil it for the people,
No.
but it's like there's a sex bot.
Yeah. There's a sex bot. There's losing your virginity more than once.
Yeah. There's a coming out story.
There's body in relation to masculinity. There's a lot. Yeah. There's body in relation to sex work in this one as well, and which circles back to a relationship with their mother and their mother's body. Yeah. So it is a treat. You're in for a treat this chapter with the theme of body, which we loved and very excited for you all to listen to. But before we get into the stories, Glynn and I, which we always do, this is just a public chat. We always chat about the theme and also pose questions from our All Too Human card set, which will be available for purchase. We always choose to pose these questions that we curated around the body to discover what our own feelings are around it before we take submissions and before we ask the audience to answer some of these questions.
Yeah. So just sort of like laying the framework, I think we could both kind of reflect on historically what our relationship to our bodies have been and how we feel about our bodies now, like in this moment where we find ourselves. I think for me, then this is something that people are talking about so much, especially now because like your phone loves to remind you of views of the past.
Yes.
So I get all these snapshots of me from like 2016 or something, and I'm like, wow, you were tiny and you thought you were huge your whole life. And then I get snapshots of just memories of my life, of people in my family being so concerned about my weight and my size, like forever. And how like hyper conscious that made me of my body forever. And how much it limited me from feeling free in my body, or just like I remember growing up watching other kids that seemed so liberated, I want to say, like in their play even, or that were comfortable in sports or comfortable in dance. And I was just, first of all, never coordinated. So add the uncoordination to like a deep self-consciousness with my body forever, just made me not feel like I could be free or playful.
Yeah.
And it's still something that I don't think I've ever truly experienced, a true freedom and play in my body. So yeah, historically, that's sort of been my thing. And then until the moment which Nneka and I both wrote stories of our own for this release, when I discovered that me being bigger meant that I also have body.
Yes.
Like, not only it was the consciousness of my body, but then I have body. And like what that started to mean,
right.
The kind of attention I started to get, and how a lot of this male attention, often unasked for, unwarranted, unwanted, also became something that I craved, desired, felt sort of like approved by, thrived off of. But it was like a mixed thing too, because I write about this in this piece called Miss New Booty, which is literally when I just discovered that I had a booty, this new development. I felt fear around that because it made me feel like I was going to be subjected to the eyes and opinions of others. And then I also felt empowered by that because it was something that people wanted at the time growing up, when, you know, this is like peak BET Uncut,
yes,
King Magazine.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like Video Vixen. There was a time when I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a King Magazine model. That was like
Glynn.
that was my like goal in life.
Like, you know,
because I was like, oh, that's where people with bodies like me go, low key. It was like, that's where I will be celebrated. Yeah, that was a long roundabout way of saying that.
No.
I have body, and I just was dealing with the body.
Glynn has body.
Body. And then now the body is still bodying, but it's bodying in a different way, in a way that feels a bit slower, more aged, less agile, that has weight in places that I didn't before. And I just I consistently work to just accept the body that I'm in at any given time, because of the knowledge that in 5 years I might get that reminder of the body that I'm in now and be like, damn girl, you was looking fine then.
100%.
And you was hiding.
100%.
And for what?
100%.
You know? No,
that's insanely profound. I wonder where, just because you said so many poignant things, what does celebrating your body look like? And where do you feel like it's celebrated?
Right.
Yeah,
that is
because
like
that's such a
thread in all of that was celebration.
Right. It's so specific to where you're like, oh, I see those women and they have my body, and they're getting, you know, lauded for having it. They're getting praised for having it. They're getting lusted over for having it. That's a place where I'll be celebrated. That is such a one-to-one thing when you're younger, right?
100%. I don't know that there's a place where my body now is being celebrated specifically. I think, especially now, I think we're in this just time of hyper obsession with changing one's body.
Yes.
And even in my own circles, everybody is hyper obsessed with their bodies and just trying to alter their bodies at all times. And I am never one to like sacrifice certain pleasures.
Right. No, that's real.
For my body. I'm going to eat the thing. I'm going to sleep in and maybe miss the workout.
Yeah. And not beat yourself up.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like hyper obsessed about and hypercritical. So maybe the only celebration is my own, in my own way. Or my own acceptance as celebration.
Beautiful. So many people are, I don't know, I don't hear these conversations of like, so many people are obsessed with, we are in the age of Ozempic. We're in the age of, you know, like we're in the age of Lipo 360, of all this stuff. But then we're also in the age of people trying to sell you healing guides and things like that. Say these 3 affirmations and you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love your body. And you're like, no.
At odds.
Yes, exactly. Both are capitalistic pursuits of gaining, either, you know, like making you hate something or trying to make you love something. You have to buy it either way.
Right. 100%.
What does that look like when you are in circles where it's hyper, oh my God, I'm getting fat, and you're like, okay. You know what I mean? Are you combating something, or are you just, you know, I just know myself. Like, I don't really actually care.
Yeah, I try the latter. And when people start to get on their sort of self-obsessed thing, I just try to like block it out. And try not to internalize it as a reason for me to start to look at myself because they're on the journey that they're on. Although I do come to you as a woman that has gotten many rounds of filler and Botox.
That's real.
And will continue to do so.
That's honest.
My
You're always,
forehead
what I appreciate
is
about
foreheading.
you're not supposed to show emotion, buddy. Yes, this is part of the body too, but I always
Right.
appreciate your honesty. To each their own. I really don't.
Totally.
Yeah, but I also think it's like when people are treading towards danger, that's when I'm like, hey, maybe you should probably think about this before you do it. I think you know what it looks like when it's hyper obsessive.
Exactly.
It's never gonna be what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
You.
my relationship with my body, it's always been like athletic, kind of slimmer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when you hit 30, things change. Pandemic, things change. I think culturally, I come from two cultures, dad from West Africa, Nigeria, mother from Southeast Asia, Cambodia. They'll say you're fat. They will
Yes.
say, oh, you're so fat. Like, it's like, like, and that's not like like, oh, you're getting big. Like, that's been a constant thing, not necessarily for me, but I saw it a lot with even my younger sister, where they would always comment on her weight growing up, and I'd always try to come to the defense of like, hey, this is not a healthy thing to talk about. I'm not the most curvaceous girl. I'm kind of have like a standard build, but I think that I don't know if I ever looked at my body or because it was just so standard as something that was lusted over in that way. I think I considered it as a tool because of athletics, a tool to get things done in a specific arena. Outside of that, men weren't like, men weren't following. Yeah, nobody was catcalling. You know what I mean? Even when it was apple bottom jeans, I wasn't filling out the jeans.
Yo, quick aside, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how ingenious the apple bottom jeans were.
Genius.
Ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time.
I went and bought some. I remember when they came out, I was so excited. You did too?
Yes, Glenn, yes. And it looked different.
That was
that was shady. Oh, you did too? Good job.
Too?
Yes, I did. I did. That's when we had like baby fat and stuff. Like when we had brands. That
felt like they were for our bodies too. That was something about those brands. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes you dissociate a little bit of where when you're a young girl, of course it's sexualized, but I was like, okay, what aspect of my body is sexualized? And then puberty hit and it's mostly breasts. There's this discomfort in it because of the rules and regulations around what culturally is acceptable. So it's everything is cover your legs, cover your, you're looking like this. And it's, even to this day, I'm like, okay, if I'm in a tank top around my mom, she's going to say something.
Right.
About it, or the aunts are going to say something about it. And you're like, I'm in my own house. You know what I mean? Why should I have to cover my body? I think it was more that than it is, oh, I had this thing that, other people were desiring after. It's in the house. If you're going to go outside, you shouldn't even think about looking desirable. There's shame around flaunting your body in a certain way. You're asking for things to happen to you that are potentially dangerous. So that's like, that was the main kind of language around bodies. So I think for me, you see people, I think especially moving to Brooklyn, and they're like, it's summer and they don't, it doesn't matter what size, what, shape, what color, they're free. And I don't think I've felt that yet, of being totally comfortable with realizing that this is a vessel and not just like a thing to cover, so that other people don't, think you're trying to suggest something.
Right.
I'm okay with showing skin and stuff, but it's a different feeling being like, I'm just walking out the house and maybe I don't have a bra on and no aunt is gonna come out with a broomstick, and be like,
do you still, so you hear that voice in your head?
Yeah, it's a voice. Yeah, it's a voice for sure, of where it's like, this is improper. I think their voices are there where this is not what a woman should do and wear and look, and where it's like, you guys are trapped in, I think, your own bodies in a certain way, and you don't want to show it because you're like, hey, I'm an older woman and this is not how we should dress. But we're in a time and age where you see older women looking amazing. It is just a number in that sense, and I think like our bodies should be celebrated. They should be. So it's like, I'm thinking of, even hearing you talk of like, how do we celebrate our bodies, and it has to be more than just trying to change it. Acknowledging it for its job, but also like, I don't know, if you adorn it. If you're the type of person who's stretching in front of the mirror naked is me celebrating my, but like whatever that is. Yeah, exactly. Do that. And I think I'm still figuring that out, of like, what does celebration of this body look like beyond desire?
I think we are also in this like hyper self-care era. We have been in it for a while, and it has started to feel a bit empty, I think, like these self-care practices or this like self-love practice or whatever. Like, yeah, that some of those sort of tools that people tout have never worked for me. Like, give yourselves mantras in the mirror, or like take your sweet time lotioning your body. I don't have that. I don't have time. I gotta go.
You're spraying
I'm spraying that oil, and we're going. You know.
Yes.
But I do think that there is celebration in those acts 100%. It's just about like finding the one that feels good to you. Well, should we move to our All Too Human segment?
Yes.
So we can tee it up a little bit for those who are familiar with Craft and Release, who have been to our shows before or have been to our All Too Human events. All Too Human is a series that we developed, a conversation series that we developed to help people have deeper, more meaningful conversations. Nneka always says we could talk about the weather all day.
All day.
But this series is designed for you to get us something truer. And we curate each deck around the theme of our release. So we have a series of cards on the body. And the way that we do this at our live shows is everybody that comes gets a card when they first arrive. And at random, you're called up on stage to pose the question that you're holding to a stranger in the audience.
Yes.
Which also just gets at this ability to get at something deeper with someone that you don't even know. So the person doesn't know what question they're going to receive.
Nope.
Just like today, Nneka doesn't know what I'm going to ask her.
And Glenn definitely doesn't know.
I really don't know. So my first one for you is, what's your favorite physical sensation in the world?
Ooh, see, these are good questions, but we never get to answer them. So, this is actually a treat. It's between two. I think hot water running on your body is one. If you've been anywhere for a long time, Glenn's been to the village. She knows.
I have been.
Yes, she's been to the village. When you finally get like a hot shower, I don't think there's any clean slate feeling like that. But also, I love bubbles on the tongue.
Oh,
bubbles.
That's so fun.
Like bubbles, like your first like sip of something sparkly is like magic.
The way it pops.
Yes,
the effervescence. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I actually was running a little late today because of a really nice hot shower that you get into for like function.
Oh my God.
And then you're right. When the water hits, you're like, damn. I needed this, bro.
yes. Every time you're like,
oof.
I needed this moment.
Okay, what you got?
What advice would you give to your younger self about your body? Since you've lived in it now for a while, what would you tell younger Glynn?
God, I'm thinking so many other things now. Just my childhood with my body is just coming at me in flashes of just like embarrassment, low-key. Not like in a dark way, but for some reason I just got this like visceral memory of when I first got my period and how just
trash.
Just traumatized I was for years by like just walking around in the hallways of my school with like a sweater tied around my waist.
My God,
or just consciousness. I just felt like I was just self-conscious my whole childhood, essentially.
Yeah.
In one way or the other. It's like my body's developing. I'm like, oh God, what is it doing? It was just developing.
Yes, it's
like
doing something.
All of it was it was just changing.
Yes.
And I guess, God, what would I say? I mean, if I'm honest, I think I handled it the best way that I could then. And I can recall moments when I finally felt confident. But it was still often with outside approval or outside celebration, if you will. God, I don't know how to answer this question.
I think you're right there. If she was like, Glynn, what should I do? She is this, hyper conscious of these things changing. What would you tell her being where you're at now with your body? Hey, is this going to be okay? What would you tell her to kind of like ease this sense of anxiety?
Maybe it's like there are options for you. There's a line in the extended Miss New Booty piece where I talk about the day I discovered that I could get a tailor. That was just like a crazy moment for me.
Yeah.
You'd go shopping with friends and they could just slip their way into clothes and I just could not. Or like everything fit a little bit weird. Or another like cause for shame or like insecurity was I wear jeans and they just wouldn't quite fit at the waist, and then I would try to put belts around them, but the belts would like, the belt loops would like pucker around the belt, and the belt would be like up on my waist and the jeans were like down here. You know, the people that do that? All I needed was to like take them in a little bit, probably. There were just options, but I was trying to fit my body into like spaces that were not made for it.
Right.
But that there are options. And there weren't as many options then, but that there will be options. And yeah, you that girl.
You that girl, man. Love. Girl. The body is body.
The body.
The body bodies. You're going to appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. For you, what's one thing you wish people wouldn't judge you based on your appearance, judge you for based on your appearance?
For every black person is.
Your blackness.
Your blackness. I think that I just notice. It's so noticeable. Living with it for your entire life, you become almost accustomed to it, but numb to it. But now that I think in a lot of my chosen time with people, I'm not around a lot of white people that haven't been exposed to black folks. I don't feel that, or I'm not in predominantly white spaces voluntarily. I've had experiences, I think, like over the last month where that is the case, and you can tell black women really are for grown-ups. Like, there is this standoffishness. If you do carry yourself a certain way and you are a black woman, you have to make that first move to make somebody comfortable. And so it's insanely noticeable, and I think it was a bit exhausting to have to participate in over the last 2 months, I think. Of where, of course, you're judging it. I can see in real time the response to somebody else.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like, of course you're judging me.
Them understanding you, them taking it in.
Totally.
Like, oh.
Totally. And being like, oh, okay, you're nice. Oh, I didn't think, it's
there's
that.
Like waves of realization that they go through.
Absolutely. Where when I'm the only black woman with locks, I'm not trying to be Candace Owens. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be Stacey Dash. I think there's an automatic assumption, or I know there's an automatic assumption of how I may operate. So I don't care to change their assumption, but I know that in order to have a certain interaction, I'm going to have to. Yeah. I wish people would stop doing that, but that's a wish upon a star. That's a wish upon a star. Okay, next question for you. How has hair affected your identity? How has it played a factor in your identity? How has it affected your identity?
Yeah, this is like a layered one, because I remember growing up, all the girls that I went to school with had perms, relaxers from early. Ooh. And my mom would never let me.
Did you want one?
I wanted one so bad because everybody had one, for one. And also because I used to get my hair like pressed, and then we would go to parties. You go to the party like when you're younger, and then when they turn the lights on, there's a few people that's hair has sweated out. Yes. And it's poofed up.
Yes,
and it smells like hot comb in the party.
Yes, it smells like pink oil and hot comb. Yes.
That was me every time.
Really? Okay. I
was like, give me the creamy crack.
Okay.
Please. And my mom finally did. I don't know if I ever told you the story. I got a perm on the day of my 8th grade prom, and all my hair fell out.
I've never heard this story.
All of it fell out. For the longest, my hair was thick, luscious, all the things. And then all my hair fell out. Well, the lady didn't tell me that my hair was falling out, but she called. She's like, can I get your mom's number? And she called my mom while I'm sitting in the sink. And she's like, can you bring a couple packs of hair?
Packs of hair to put on your hair.
Add me some clip-ins, some pieces.
Oh, no. Was your mom like livid?
I think she was just like, damn. I wasn't trying to do this whole time, and now look.
How did you feel as an 8th grader?
I think I was like really scared. I remember they cut me some bangs, so it just became like a little. It looked cute. Like in retrospect, I look back at the pictures, it was like kind of cute.
Okay,
but it was not what it was given before. And then it kind of like bounced back. Whatever. It was a long journey. I had a pixie cut. So when I got to college, I remember sitting with like a woman who was like an older sister figure to me, and she was like a naturalista, this like early naturalista
movement.
movements, like early YouTube vloggers.
Yes.
And she was like, you need to get this perm out your head. It's a poison. And she sat and clipped it all out. And I had this little TWA. Like
TWA, teeny weeny afro.
You have one too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a moment.
It's a moment. I remember feeling like really self-conscious about it too at the time. Like, oh my God, I have no like hair to hide behind. And then my afro started growing lusciously big, and it became a thing that everybody was obsessed with. That started to mean obsessed and meant so much more to other people than it did to me. For me, it was like, my hair grows like this. I don't have the time or patience to do a twist out.
Right.
Wash and goes just don't be working for me. And so we're just going to do this. It's just going to be like a fro. It's going to grow the way it comes out. And it just means so much to people. And I felt like I was just getting, again, kind of attention from people that I wasn't asking for. And then, baby, once some bohos came out, once they introduced that boho
down, boy. You've been boho
I do a boho
down.
twist, try to like not have it the same thing as everybody else. But baby, this is what we do.
This is your style, right? This is it.
But I am conscious of the fact that I do hide behind this too.
Really?
Yeah, like I spent like a month back in the fro.
Yeah.
This summer, and it didn't feel, maybe because I was getting the attention in a way. There was so many eyes on me because of the afro. I feel like I throw these in. It's a very easily blendable. Like I can just blend in.
That's true.
A little
that
bit
is
more.
True.
But yeah.
Do you like your afro?
She can be challenging. To be quite honest, I have, because of some heat damage, the front flops, the sides flourish. Just like at this point, it's an imperfect fro.
Okay.
The old fro was pretty iconic. I do know why people were obsessed with it back then.
Yes.
In my like early 20s, mid 20s. That was pretty epic.
Sure.
And I feel sometimes like a sense of confidence with it. But the thing is, it's so like finicky. Like one day you feel great in it because it's working. And then the next day it's just like not froing the way it should fro.
For sure. You
know?
Like fros can be temperamental.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, they can be. They can be like, today I'm going to outshine everyone.
Yeah.
And the other day you're like, it's lopsided in the back.
Correct.
You know? Like it's flat in the back. Like, you know.
And there's just like some like femininity I feel like I just hit once these little two pieces come down.
That's honest.
The two pieces come in the front and this goes up there.
That's honest.
So I'm never going to have a bust down.
Why is that? Do you have
tried.
any? Okay.
That's how I got the heat damage.
Okay.
Doing in the front.
Okay. So
the leave out.
Are you like, this leave in or the lace fronts and tracks aren't for you?
I just don't have, the girls that are able to do it,
upkeep.
God bless.
Upkeep.
Y'all are all professional hairstylists.
Yes, they do the drying of the glue. And I don't have the patience.
Yeah, I watch in awe. Like,
you still watch it?
Oh, I watch. That's one of my favorite genres.
Clint.
I watch people lay a wig.
And you don't. It is actually.
You've watched it.
I've watched
You've done it.
I have never laid a wig.
Oh, no, you've watched it.
Yes, but I've watched it. Yes.
It's sorcery.
I mean, it is sorcery. It is. I see why they're charging what they charge. Thank God TikTok was not around during that time.
I wanted to ask you like another follow up without like getting in your business too much about like, what do you wish people didn't judge you on right away?
Yeah.
When I picked this for you, I was curious if you were going to say anything about, like, pretty privilege.
Oh.
Does that feel like too much?
No, it doesn't feel like too much at all. Wow. So you think I'm cute? Glenn thinks I'm cute. I think that's a great question and a great follow-up.
Yeah.
I think if you thought you were not cute in middle school and then kind of blossomed into that, I feel like that was my experience. Okay. I was never, especially because I went to a predominantly white Catholic middle school. They just didn't find, I was one of 3 black girls in my grade. And there was one biracial girl who was half white. And she used to get a lot of attention. My other friend who was black.
Got none.
Yeah, absolutely none. Absolutely none. And for me, it was like not really. I never knew if people liked me or found me attractive. So I don't think that I knew until high school for real. And that wasn't because of my grade, because there was still just like a lot of white people. And I played soccer, so my teammates were white. So I saw them getting a lot of attention and them getting boyfriends. And then I finally got some attention from a guy at our rival high school. Who was
This
older.
guy.
Yes. And he was attractive. I was like, he likes me? Sure, it turned into toxic fucking 3 years. But he was so pretty that I think I was focused on his beauty, if that made sense. He was just like green eyes. He was that guy of where he would walk into a room and a lot of women would find him attractive. So I don't think I was thinking about my desirability in that way. I truly think like coming maybe into college and a little bit afterwards, I realized, oh, okay, I can use beauty. Beauty as a tool, right?
Oh,
beauty,
wow.
yeah. For me, I never used it in that way. I think that's why I have a personality. You know, truly. I don't think I would have developed it if I would have just been hyper focused on beauty from a young age. So I think stepping into it after college, post college, I'm into photography. Oh, photographing myself may be a thing. Oh, like I think when I started doing stuff on the internet more, that's when I realized like, oh shit, like I'm conventionally attractive. Right? You know what I mean? Like I'm totally. I will say that truly is it, because even with work, I work for a family business. So it's like nobody's gonna tell you you're cute like that. So I wasn't put in these positions to where I would realize it until the internet. And I had a friend who I used to travel with a lot and stuff where she used it any chance she could get. She could. So it's like, I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like we could get this stuff for this. But I think they're absolutely privileged. There's privilege in terms of colorism, in terms of, I don't think I get it as much in terms of featureism. I think I do have black features. But in terms of me being lighter skin, absolutely. I've seen it, and I've seen having a dark skinned husband and seeing him go up first and then him go up with me. There's a complete difference. But is there something specific around privilege that you want to touch on?
That was interesting.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to hear you unpack.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's an interesting play on like people assuming you're shallow and then also you getting things because you're pretty, which is an interesting, I think, experience. Yeah, you can use it though. If you have it, you absolutely, people be using it for the worst things ever. So I like that follow-up. My last question for you.
Okay.
What is the most difficult undertaking you've had with your body or you've done with your body?
Any physical activity?
Glynn Pogue. Glynn. Difficult. The most difficult. And I don't think it has to be like painful.
This is the first thing coming to mind. And it wasn't necessarily difficult, but different. For those who don't know, Nneka and I have this like really weird overlap in that she's half Khmer. I lived in Cambodia for 2 years.
She's more Khmer than
I'm
me.
I'm kind of Khmer.
She is. Yes.
And I placed my body in just a completely unfamiliar and very different environment for 2 straight years on my own, essentially. And also, you spoke about this like culturally, then subjected myself to a lot of opinions and attention and fascination from all the people that I lived around.
Yes.
The amount of times people would just ask me why I was getting fat or say you're getting so fat was insane. I remember the first time it happened to me, I was like about to pop off. I was like, excuse me? It was like a man at a school that I was working at. I was like, you're my colleague and you're a man. Yeah, why are you talking about my body?
Why?
This is insane. Openly. But then, I came to learn all the nuances and they were like, no, it was like a compliment. Like, you've been eating well or like, you're like, don't buy it. That's not what they meant.
Whatever.
Yeah. That was a bit jarring and just, putting my body in scenarios I'd never been in from like, I used an outhouse for 2 years. I didn't have running water.
This is a good one.
For 2 years,
Yes.
Just my body did things it had never done before. And what I learned in the end was that it could adapt. I learned how adaptable I was.
Yes.
I came to look forward to those showers with a pail of water. They were like the most refreshing thing after a hot day. My squat got impeccable.
Her Asian squat got crazy.
It got crazy.
Seen it.
It's to this day
impeccable.
So yeah,
No,
put
I
it through
love that.
something challenging, and it rose to the occasion.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And I think that is wildly inspiring. I can't wait to actually talk more about your trip together. We're planning on going together.
We are. Oh,
We have a pilgrimage back there.
we do have to make a pilgrimage. We absolutely do.
We hope you all enjoy this season chapter.
This chapter.
We hope you all enjoy.
Yeah,
season's fine, but chapter. I like chapter.
Yeah. We hope you enjoy
all,
this chapter of stories on the
Yes.
body.
And you'll hear from an array of storytellers, and you'll also hear from some audience members. If you enjoyed the All Too Human cards, they're sprinkled into every single season, and we're very excited for this to be shown and for you all to experience it at home. Thank you so much for listening to the Craft and Release podcast. If you liked this episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, sign up for our newsletter. You'll be the first to know when new episodes drop.